Hi, this is Greg. During a recent trip to the grocery, I got to chat with the grocery staff, and she mentioned that until this time, there were still some people who were panic buying for for food. Okay, and we are already well beyond a month since the restrictions were implemented. Okay, so this got me concerned. So I'm sharing this video to hopefully show that we actually need a lot less than what we think we need. And today we're gonna show that by going through how to set up our 2-week Prepper Pantry. So if you're interested on how we initially set up our Prepper Pantry and would like to get some ideas on how to start your own Prepper Pantry, especially during this time, so stick around. Okay, so because of what's happening around the world, prepping is no longer a hobby. It's not a pastime anymore or a lifestyle to some people. It's actually the norm. Okay, we don't just buy food that we're gonna eat right now, but we plan ahead for the next few days or weeks. Some preppers go to the extreme of being able to bug in for years or become self-sufficient indefinitely. So, personally, I subscribe to the idea of active prepping. This is why we have a working pantry instead of a pantry that we open up during an emergency. Okay, this means once in a while, we have to go out and restock supplies that we actually consume, just like your regular pantry or cupboard. But the difference is your prepper pantry has a buffer supply just in case you won't be able to go on those regular resupply runs. You can't go to the grocery for some reason. Your supply will still last for a set duration and you don't have to worry that much. First of all, as a disclaimer, we assume that you have the ability to acquire goods by cash, credit, or by whatever means. So let me be clear about it. This is not about how you acquire the supplies, but more about what do you actually need to buy and how much do you actually need to acquire to build your initial 2-week prepper pantry. And let me be clear, panic buying and hoarding is not prepping. Okay? A lot of preppers stock up on supplies over a period of months or even years. Okay? So, as an exercise today, let's say we plan to start building our 2-week prepper pantry and plan to go out to resupply, say, once a week. So for someone who's in project management for a long time, let me say this one. We can manage what we measure. Okay, let me say it again. We can manage what we can measure. Okay, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna measure how much we actually consume. Okay, and not just have this fuzzy idea in our heads how much do we actually eat for 2 weeks. Okay, if we don't have a firm grasp of how much do we actually need, we tend to acquire more than we actually do need. Okay? And this leads to panic buying and hoarding. As Filipinos, we love rice. We eat rice every single day. And many say during hard times, as long as we have rice, we're gonna be okay. Okay? So, we'll start with the rice. But how much rice do you actually need? I'm surprised seeing at the market, especially when all of this started, seeing people loading sacks upon sacks of rice into their cars. This makes me wonder, how long do these people plan to bug in, or how many people they're actually planning to feed. Okay? So, first of all, you need to get your rice scoop. So everybody has that. It's either you use a cup, a mug, or a tin can, anything to scoop from your rice bin. So this is the one we use at home. So this is a small plastic cup, and for our small family, we cook 1.5 to 2 scoops of rice per meal. So let's say 2 cups. So for 3 meals a day, we consume 6 scoops using this small plastic cup. All right? So that's what I did. You get your scoop. Oh, you get your rice scooper, and then scoop up how much you actually cook per meal, multiply that by 3, and then you'll know how many scoops you cook for one day. Okay, that's what I did. And this is it. Okay, this is 6 scoops of this. Okay, 6 scoops of rice using our regular plastic cup, right? And we'll go find out how much this actually weighs. Okay, you get your weighing scale if you have one. Okay, if you don't have a weighing scale, the next time you go to your rice dealer, you bring your scooper, scoop up a few scoops into a plastic bag, and ask them to weigh it. Okay, so you'll know how much those many scoops weigh. Okay, so this is 6 scoops, and this is how much rice we cook in one day. So roughly about 1 kilo of rice. So that's what we consume for one day. So our family consumes about 1 kilo of rice per day. And for 1 week, naturally, 7 days, we'll consume 7 kilos of rice. So for half a month, 15 days, we'll consume 15 kilos of rice. So for 2 weeks, roughly, we're gonna consume 15 kilos of rice. And that's not too much. Okay? Even a month's consumption of rice is 30 kilos, not even one sack. So we don't have the need to stock up on sacks upon sacks of rice. Okay? So for 2 weeks, we'll be confident that we can survive and will be provided for with 15 kilos of rice. Okay? So it depends on you, your family. It depends on how many people you need to feed and how much you actually consume in your household. Okay, so we got rice. But what do you eat with that rice? So, there are stories from way back that people ate rice with just salt or maybe soy sauce or just some flavoring. Well, that's okay, but I don't think people will enjoy doing that for a long time. And if we have the chance to prepare, we can have something more enjoyable and more nutritious to pair with our supply of rice. Okay? For us, right now, we don't have any concerns about power supply. We have regular power supply. So our refrigerator still work. So we can still buy fresh meats, fresh fish, and you can still stock up on that, and you can still eat that on a regular basis. You can still stock up on vegetables, and those will last a long time in your refrigerator. But using a prepper mindset, we anticipate the possibility of power outage. So if there's no power, your refrigerator won't work and the stuff in your refrigerator won't last very long. So our best bet for food that will last for a long time would be canned goods. Our favorite being corned beef. Some would say, oh, I can stock up on MREs or freeze-dried food. And yes, preppers do that. But the main downside for those types of food is that they are way, way, way expensive. Assuming you can have a regular supply and you can get a regular supply of that. And also, they're not really family style food that you can serve for a group of people, okay? So, our best bet would be to stock up on canned goods, okay? So, for us, we love corned beef. Okay, but how many cans of corned beef do we actually need to buy? Okay, for us, we can have one meal with one can of corned beef. We just use it as a meat replacement and we mix it with green leafy vegetables or maybe some potatoes and make it into a corned beef hash. Okay, so if we're gonna use that, we consume one can of corned beef per meal, 3 meals a day, and let's say for half a month, 2 weeks, 15 days, we'll use up 15 times 3 is 45. So we'll need 45 cans of corned beef and 15 kilos of rice. Okay, some of you will say, I can't eat corned beef every day for every meal for 2 weeks. Actually, you can. Alright, if it's a choice between eating corned beef or not eating at all, you can eat corned beef. Okay, paired with rice. So you'll need for 2 weeks, 15 days, you'll be eating 45 meals. And if you have 45 cans of corned beef and 15 kilos of rice, then we're all set, right? And that's actually the game changer here. Okay? If you can rest and be assured that for the next 15 days, I do not have to worry about my family skipping a meal or have nothing to eat, that enables you to think more clearly, act more appropriately and responsibly. And this helps us avoid panic buying and hoarding. Okay? So, we don't actually need that much food, right? We need enough rice and enough of the what we pair with the rice. Okay, I'm just joking. I can't eat corned beef every day all day. So we try to mix it up. Aside from corned beef, we can eat a can of tuna for one meal. Our family actually loves tuna. Sometimes we buy the big can or the small cans because sometimes just one of us or me, I'm hungry, I can eat just a small can of tuna. Okay? And 3 of these is almost the same size as one big can. Okay? So it's up to you whether you buy the big one or the small ones. Alright? So let's say that one. Okay? And another option would be the ever popular sardines. So every meal, if we're eating sardines, we consume about 2 cans of sardines. And usually we mix it up with some leafy vegetable or maybe make it into an omelette or something. Alright? So you have choices too. Maybe you can have 45 meals of corned beef, or maybe you can have 15 meals of corned beef, 15 meals of tuna, and 15 meals of sardines. Okay, so it's up to you depending on your taste and of course your budget. Of course, sardines are cheaper than corned beef. One thing to note though, during this time they're imposing limits on how much canned goods you can actually buy. I think it's 5 or something like that. So you can't buy canned goods in large quantities because they're trying to ensure that everybody can get their own supply. But you have other options. Okay, you can go to another store, you can go to wholesalers, or you can actually, though it's a little more expensive, you can opt to buy the imported ones, maybe Spam, or the off-brand ones, maybe packed meat from Dak or something like that. So go check out your local grocery, what you actually have and what you can legally buy. Once you have your initial stock, okay, for 15 days, you can build up on that. Whatever you buy in addition only extends your current supply. So for example, you buy pasta and pasta sauce. That will effectively extend your rice supply. If you buy fresh meat or fresh fish, it will extend your supply of canned food. Okay? So, starting from there, and then every time you do a resupply run, you can add a few cans and stick to the limit of what you can buy, but slowly you can build up your prepper pantry, and the more you get your pantry set up, the more peace of mind you can have knowing that you won't run out of food and you don't need to panic buy or hoard, and thus you are depriving other people of their own supply. Okay? So the key here is knowing how much you actually need and buying only that amount plus some buffer just in case there is a loss, something spoils, or you got to eat a little more than you should actually have eaten. One more tip. Label, label, label. Okay, what do I mean? Even when these cans are new, it's actually really, really hard to read the tiny text printed on the cans. So, what I tend to do is to pack the cans and label the pack with the expiration date, because what you don't want to happen is you've been keeping your supply thinking that when there's an emergency, I have something to eat, and when that emergency comes and you look at the back of the can and lo and behold, it's bulging and expired. Okay? So that's actually what a working pantry would address, because if it's a working pantry, you tend to be conscious of what's in there and you rotate what you use, and what you buy goes in the back and you go get the ones in front. So there are many systems on how you rotate the cans and how you manage your prepper pantry. But if it's a working pantry, you risk less of having spoilage and something that is forgotten inside your pantry. So that's basically it. If you have comments or suggestions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, you can like, share, or subscribe. And thanks for watching. Remember, plan, prepare, and projectize.